Hi everyone, we're getting started.
Hi.
Hi Rachel. So I think we're gonna wait a little bit longer, see if more folks join us, and then we'll begin.
Can you hear Millie purring at all?
Pardon?
Can you hear Millie purring at all? She's like
Oh,
sitting
I
right
think I
next
kind of
to
heard that one.
me. She's sitting right next to me just purring away.
Hi Millie. Millie's a great cat.
Yes, she's the best.
Sweet. I feel like I shouldn't fiddle with my setup, but I'll wait a minute longer and then we can start. Or just until it's 6:02, I guess. Oh, okay. Do you want to start now? Okay, we can start now. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us this evening. This is our SAR Artists live Instagram takeover event. This Instagram takeover is a part of the School for Advanced Research Artists Live series, a program that brings viewers behind the scenes and into the workspace of so many talented artists SARS has partnered with. I'm Racquel West, and I'm one of the current 2021 to 2022 Anne Ray interns. Today we are going to be talking with Rachel about the Anne Ray internship. But first, I would like to open with a land acknowledgement. I'm going live from the School for Advanced Research, which is located on the traditional lands of the Tewa people, Ogapoge Owenge, meaning Whiteshell Water Place, or Santa Fe, New Mexico. Surrounding our campus are the landscapes of the Pueblo, Apache, and Navajo communities, whose people continue to maintain vital connections to this place. While a land acknowledgement is an important gesture, actionable items are also crucial. As such, I would also like to direct viewers to the SAR website, wherein resources such as our guidelines for collaborations can be referenced for best practices relating to community-based collaborative collections care. I would also like to thank the sponsors for this event. This program is supported in part by Shiprock Santa Fe, King Galleries, Thomas Cleary LLC, and partially funded by the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department and the 1% Lodgers tax. During the talk, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask away in the comment section down below. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you all to Racquel Geiogamah, an Anne Ray intern this year. Racquel is a member of the Kiowa Tribe of Oklahoma and a recent graduate of Syracuse University, where she earned her Master of Arts in Museum Studies. In 2019, she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in studio art at Hobart and William Smith Colleges in Geneva, New York. She has previously held positions at the Richardson Bates House Museum, the Sue and Leon Jeanette Gallery, and the Davis Gallery at Hobart and William Smith Colleges. Rachel is interested in decolonizing methodologies, particularly within museum collections, curation, and education. Thanks for doing this interview, Rachel. Would you mind introducing yourself a little further?
Of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Racquel Geiogamah, and I am an enrolled member of the Kiowa Tribe of Oklahoma. I am originally from the Chandler-Tempe area of Arizona before I moved cross-country to New York State to go to college. Like Racquel said, I got my bachelor's in studio art with a minor in art history and English and a master's in museum studies. I would say that the majority of my work experience before this internship was mainly in art galleries. During my undergrad, I was a gallery assistant, and when I graduated and started my master's, I then became a gallery manager for the student-run gallery at the School of Design. I did get a little bit of museum experience before I started here. During my master's, I had to do an internship, and I did mine at the Richardson Bates House Museum, where I was a collection intern for them.
That sounds awesome. Those are great experiences. And I feel like you have such a great experience with also like being in the art world. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how you got into museum work?
Yeah, sure. I actually didn't know that museum studies was even a thing until my senior year of undergrad. I was initially studying to be a photographer and to possibly go into photojournalism. Um, but luckily, I had to take a senior symposium class, and my professor was curating an exhibition. And he had us help with exhibition design and do prep and install. And I just fell in love with doing the work through that. Um, and I actually had to go on medical leave. And so I took the rest of that year off and basically just spent that time figuring out how I was supposed to get into the museum world and just completely kind of shifting my career path. um, but during that time, I did a lot of personal research, which was pretty evident in the fact that I initially wanted to be a curator, which now that I've had experience in the museum world, I know that that is the farthest thing that I want to do in the museum. Um, but I went back and I graduated, and I found that I just wanted to immediately just start looking for work and to just try and find a job in any museum anywhere. And I found that it was incredibly hard to even get an interview anywhere unless you had a master's. So I pivoted my plans again and applied for a grad program and got in. But it actually ended up working out really well for me. I met some great people and made some great connections. I took a lot of courses on museum history and museum theory, so I was able to know exactly the sort of mess I was walking into when I started doing museum work. And I also found out that what I actually really wanted to do was be a collection manager. So it worked out really well.
I know I kind of like giggled a little bit when you said that you were initially interested in curation because I know that that's not what you're interested in now.
Yeah, I think very far
But
from my personality and what I want to do, but
yeah. But kind of, in light of your comment about now being interested in collections management, could you kind of explain why you decided to apply to the Anne Ray internship and maybe how that applies?
yeah. I guess I would say it kind of like leads into it. So during the my last year and almost last semester of my master's program, all of us within the program were just frantically trying to figure out what we were going to do after graduation, which I feel like is a very common feeling for most people about to graduate.
Definitely.
But I personally felt like I needed more hands-on experience, and especially with collection work. And so I took the route of looking for long-term internships to make sure that I got that experience before I felt comfortable applying for jobs. And I was extremely fortunate that one of my professors reached out to me and um, was willing to provide resources and to just help me search. um, and he was the one that actually showed me the Anne Ray internship. And I went on the website and I looked up SAR and the IRC and just thought that this was such a dream opportunity and a dream internship. At the time, I had been really wanting to go back to the West, and I was missing Arizona pretty terribly. So that was a huge plus for me. And it was paid, which we have talked about multiple times, that internships that are paid rarely happen.
Yeah.
um, and also, they provided housing and housing that would allow me to bring my cat with me. And that was just such a huge relief for me to not have to worry about where I was going to be living for 9 months. um, but yeah, I just feel like um, I also never really got to work with an Indigenous collection before. So that was a huge plus too. And during my master's program, I found out that what I really wanted to do within the museum field was to work with and to support POC and specifically Indigenous people. So the IRC just checked off all those boxes for me.
Yeah, this internship really has a lot and like so many pieces, not only to the internship, but kind of as you're talking about, like it's paid, there's housing, and those are big things like when you're, going to a new city and it is a you're just like talking about all these things and I'm like, yeah, it's really an amazing opportunity and that's not even talking about the collections as you just said about how getting to be with the collections work is also a big draw to the School for Advanced Research. And do you think you could kind of speak a little bit about the application and interview process?
Sure. It feels like such a long time ago now since we had applied and sent in our application. I think we were saying before that it's been like almost a year that
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
sent in the
soft
application,
reminder, March 1st, everybody. Coming up.
which is it's wild to me. But yeah, I would say that it's a pretty easy process. It's made even easier now because of the online portal, which I so desperately wish that we had when we were applying. But yeah, it's a pretty basic application, a cover letter, your resume, transcripts, a writing sample, and one letter of rec, which I actually thought was very nice because a lot of places usually ask for like three sometimes, which is very difficult to do. Um, but I guess I would say if there are any future interns watching this, that the hardest part for me was figuring out my writing sample. Being in grad school, we obviously had to write a lot of papers, and I was having some difficulty figuring out which would best fit for this application. I ended up going with a final paper that I wrote for a curation class that I was taking, and the final was to write a proposal for a possible public art piece that was going to go on the university campus. And I wrote mine about basically how there was a severe lack of Indigenous artwork on campus, and that even the lack of a plaque with a land acknowledgement, like in university in the campus's building, was just not okay, not acceptable in my opinion. Um, so I I sent that as my piece for my writing sample, and I would say that when considering doing a writing sample, not only submit something that you are proud of, but something that also shows a little bit about you and also like the work that you want to do within the museum field. I think that that would be extremely helpful. And then in terms of the interview, it's a group interview with everyone here that you'll be working with at the IRC. And I was okay. Like it's very chill, it's very relaxed. And as somebody who gets very nervous public speaking and doing interviews, I felt very relaxed and very welcome. So I definitely think that it's very okay. Everyone will be okay.
Yeah, everyone is so warm here that, you can tell that they want you to feel comfortable and like they want you to, feel comfortable answering the questions and that hopefully it's not too stressful. I do really like that point though about kind of the writing sample getting to like showcase what you care about. I feel like that is like a tip. And I know that, picking a writing sample can be really hard because, I, I feel like there's a lot you could potentially choose. And so I kind of like the idea of like maybe a through line in that, you could have it be kind of talking about a passion that you have or pick something that's in relation to that.
Yeah, I kind of saw it just basically as an opportunity to get like 10 extra pages of a cover letter
Yeah,
and to just
definitely.
give more of an opportunity to talk about yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I really like that because then it's like an extension almost, like getting to see a little bit into like what you care about, but like through the lens of like a paper and a writing sample. I like that. That's like a tip. um, so now that you're here on campus, would you like to speak a little bit, or will you speak a little bit about living in Santa Fe?
Yeah, of course. I love Santa Fe. I had never been to New Mexico before, and moving cross country to a place that you have never visited before for 9 months is a bit of a risk, but it really worked out well for me. Like I kind of said before, I was missing Arizona a lot, and at the time of writing my application, I hadn't been home in a little bit over a year due to COVID. So that was pretty difficult for me. So now being here and being significantly closer to Arizona has been really nice for me and has been great. Plus, Santa Fe is just so gorgeous. It's so pretty here. I like the mountains. I love the mountains so much. I took a drive to Taos a couple weekends ago, and just the entire drive, I was just so happy and in awe, just pointing out all the pretty mountains the entire drive. Um, but yeah, definitely being back in the desert and in this landscape is really nice for me. And plus, it still snows, so I get like a little bit of New York with me here as well.
Yeah, I was about to say we got a lot of snow. Like, well, I don't know if maybe a lot is the best word, but like we got some snow yesterday, and so
That's
I
what,
feel
like
like
when we keep getting delays for work, and so like I
yeah.
expect to like wake up and look outside and be like, oh, there's going to be a lot of snow, and I'm just so used to New York snow that I'm like, this is nothing. This is cute.
Okay, but from someone from like the Seattle Pacific Northwest area, this is like a good amount of snow.
That's fair, but you've also said multiple times that like Seattle doesn't know how to handle snow at all.
No, that's
So
true. That it's really that's that's fair. It's I guess Seattle doesn't get a lot of snow, so then in addition to it, whenever it snows, it's kind of a big deal. Like people also just don't know how to handle it. But I
just
also
don't know
like
how to
your
handle
comment. Yeah, I like your comment about how beautiful the landscape is too, because I feel like you and I are the people that are always like stopping on campus and being like, look at the sunset, and then like taking a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, multiple times walking back from the after work to go back to our house, you have stopped us walking and been like, "Hold on, I gotta get
Hold
this
on, do
sunset
you see
real
this right
quick."
now? Yeah, it's really wonderful kind of getting to get to be so close to campus and be in Santa Fe, as we were kind of saying earlier. Internships don't often per se like have support to getting housing, and so the fact that the Anne Ray has not only like housing on campus for us, but that it is covered is just such an amazing feature of this opportunity. And I feel like really, kind of sets people up for success, which is just really fun. And kind of as you're saying too, like about our departments, or being on campus and walking home from work. Could you talk a little bit about the departments that you work with and the projects that you're working on?
Yeah, of course. So, as interns, we work within three departments: collection, registration, and education. For collection, we work with Laura and Molly, and for registration, we work with Jen, and for education, we work with Wilma and Olivia. For collection work, we do a lot. When we first started our internship, we were mainly focused on mount making and specifically learning and doing cavity mounts. Most recently, we have moved to doing textile rehousing and box making. We also sporadically kind of jump back into doing inventory of the jewelry vault, which is one of my favorite things to do. I just love working with the jewelry collection, and inventory is just strangely relaxing for me. So I enjoy doing that. And then for registration, Jen has been teaching us how to use TMS, which was very helpful for me because all of my experience has been in Past Perfect. But we use TMS for collection work, but we've also been using it to implement some artist bio research that we've been doing. And then for education, we do a lot for education too. Most recently, we have been working on our online exhibitions for the e-museum and also starting to work on our in-person exhibition for the vaults. We also do social media posts and do things like helping out with the Artist Live. Um, and then also during like the beginning of our internship, we were doing a lot of community outreach. We would go to museums like the Folk Cultural Center, which is really fun. And we would do help out with collection tours. What else? Oh, we also had this really great experience of doing a virtual conference. As interns, we get some funds to do a conference of our choice, and both of us decided to do the 7th Annual Repatriation Conference. And I think that that was just such a great experience. I learned so much, and especially with COVID kind of making conferences really iffy, being able to do a virtual conference this year was really nice.
Yeah, definitely. And that conference had so many features. Like they just the platform that they were hosting the conference on just had so many different aspects of like ways to get engaged. That conference, maybe it felt like a concert sometimes. That conference was very fun. And it's kind of like cool to hear you talk about the departments and projects because it kind of puts into perspective how much we're doing, like in a 9-month span, but we're working with these departments and we have all these different projects that we're kind of juggling throughout that period, and it's such kind of like a big thing. And I guess 9 months is a while. It's kind of a
It
good
is a
amount
very
of
long
time.
time.
Yeah. Oh, I think you actually even said that earlier. Is you're like 9 months is it's a good chunk of time.
Yeah, but it's also like zooming by so fast. Like
Oh
it's
my
we're
gosh, I
already at
know.
6 months right now, I think, which is
No, I think.
wild.
Oh, you're right. Because I was gonna say no, it was 5 months, but now it's February.
Mm-hmm.
We are just zooming right along. So kind of in light of, the departments you talked about, the projects, living in Santa Fe, what, if you can narrow it down, would be your favorite aspect of being an Anne Ray intern?
Ooh.
As though that's
Um,
not a big question.
I know. That's always the hardest part is like answering the question of like, what's your favorite part of this thing?
Yeah.
I am stuck between two answers, so I think I'm gonna cheat and say both.
Okay.
Um, but I would first say that I just love working here, and I
Mhm.
love working here because of the people I get to work with. Um, I am just so incredibly fortunate that you were my other intern. I think that we work just so well together, and I just am
Thanks.
so lucky that this that this internship brought us together and allowed me to make a new friend.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
and
Right.
I also just I love the work environment here too. Everyone here is just so kind and so accommodating and just so willing to give their time and expertise for you. It just is so wonderful. Um, and then the second aspect is just being able to work with this incredible collection. Um, I kind of touched on it before that I have never been able to work within an Indigenous collection before. And I'm honestly a little worried that this has ruined all future collections for me. Um, I remember on our first day, we took a tour of the vaults and they have you go through vault one first. And just as soon as you step through those doors, it is just breathtaking. It just is such a hard feeling to sometimes explain to people, but it truly is amazing that I get to be able to work here and to work with this collection every day. Um, and kind of going off of that too is that being able to not only work with the collection, but work with people that care so deeply about this collection and its safety, and not only its safety, but prioritizing collaboration with tribal communities and making sure that specific pieces that should be cared for in the way that the tribal communities are asking it to be cared for. I think that that is just so incredibly special.
Yeah, it's I mean, Vault 1 is really breathtaking. Vault 1 is the name of the primary, or I don't know if primary is the right word, but one of the collection rooms. And then Vault 2 is the second one. And yeah, it's so beautiful, and I love the way that you're speaking about, how everyone at the IARC cares and puts that love and care into collection care, and the learning that's happening for us, getting to kind of be a part of it for 9 months and to get to learn. And as you were saying too, everyone is so kind and generous with their knowledge, and how they've gotten to where they are and what they've learned along the ways, and it's really incredible. And I love the way you're phrasing it. And I would also like to say that I'm really glad that we met too. I was thinking about it, and it's really cool to be meeting, like, this internship brings two people together kind of throughout this time, and we're paired together for, I mean, most projects. It's not like we're not together like every second of the day, but we're together a lot. And so, I mean, we technically have different tasks at different times. My point more so is just that it's so cool to have this internship be about also like our, like, meeting a colleague and like a peer, and like we're in this learning moment together and learning all these things together. And I think that that's really sweet and cool, and I can't wait for us to be older and me to be like, I know Rachel. Because I feel it's just been so fun getting to know you, and that was very sweet that you brought it up. Got a little teary. So kind of, following this line of like learning and going into the internship through, or wanting to learn more about collections management, and your last response being about like learning about collections care and how the collections are cared for here at the IARC and at SAR. How has SAR prepared you for your next steps? As though that's not a big question too, right?
Yeah. Just two, like, right off the bat, just like back to back hard questions.
Yeah.
I guess I would say that having my master's is incredibly helpful and provided me with a lot of great foundation level skills. But I have learned so much while being here that has both expanded on those skills, but has also challenged a lot of the things that I was taught, and specifically in regards to collection care. Learning best practices within a white colonial institution does not always teach you everything that you need to know, and especially in regards to Indigenous collection care. And some of the things that I was shown and taught here that was best for specific pieces or for ancestors goes against a lot of what I was taught that was best practices for non-native pieces. And I think that that is just so incredibly important for me to learn and to know before I go out and do the work that I want to do. Because I mean, like, at the end of the day, why I wanted to come to the IRC to begin with was because they were so committed to community and building close personal relationships with people, and not just viewing it as like a business transaction. A lot of museums kind of like to live within a bubble and simultaneously believe that they are important to community while also trying to be separate from history and from specific communities. And we just can't allow that to happen anymore into the future. And I just feel that the IRC has given me so much knowledge and skill to be able to work with an Indigenous collection and community to make sure that I'm doing it right.
That was just so wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I feel like that's really just like touching on the earlier points of like why this internship is special and important and what we're learning here. And thank you for sharing that. I'm excited to see your next steps.
I am excited too to figure out what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It'll be a surprise for both of us.
Yeah. Would you like to share any final thoughts or comments?
Yeah, I actually had a couple of thank yous that I wanted to give. Um, First, I would like to say thank you to SAR and to everyone here at the IURC. It has just been such a pleasure to work with all of you and to have met and to learn from everyone. I'm just eternally grateful for this experience. So thank you. And then second, I would like to say that a lot of people in my life have been incredibly supportive of me, like my dad, my mom, my sister, and my professor JB. But I would specifically like to give a thank you to my grandpa Curtis. I truly do not feel like I would be where I am today and the person that I am today if not for him. So everything that I do and will continue to do is in honor of his memory. Um, and then lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to the artist that made this beautiful choker for me. His name is Jonathan Garcia, and I bought it from him in downtown Santa Fe. If anyone is local or is interested, please feel free to DM me and I will give you his contact information.
That is a beautiful necklace, and those were beautiful.
No.
Thank you. And shout outs. I'd like to make a quick note to everyone that if you have any questions for Rachel, be sure to drop them in the comments now. And I'd also like to give a reminder that the Anne Ray internship application is due March 1st, and you can do that by either sending the application and the required materials in by mail, which is what Rachel and I did, or through the online portal. And I'm just gonna give a quick little check, but I think we are all good. So thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this interview.
Of course.
It's so fun to get to talk about this opportunity. As you and I both said, it's such a wonderful experience. And so I think if anyone has any further questions about the Anne Ray internship, feel free to DM questions to the School for Advanced Research or myself. I don't want to like speak for Rachel if you can DM her about questions. So I'm not going to say that, but I realized where I was going with the sentence and I was like, oh, I'm not going to say that. Anyway, thank you all for joining us, and thank you so much, Rachel, for your time.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.